The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on this show belong solely to Let's Talk TCI Real Estate and not that of Keller Williams TCI or any of its affiliates. Any action you take upon the information provided on this show is strictly at your own risk, and Let's Talk TCI Real Estate guests or hosts will not be liable for any losses and damages in connection with the use of the material. I am not an investment advisor, broker, or dealer. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me on another Thursday. I am so excited to be here to have a conversation with you about the selling process. So, as usual, I would like to say to you, please like, share, and follow Let's Talk TCI Real Estate. And tag anyone in this broadcast who you know would be interested in hearing about the selling process of real estate today. While I give you that opportunity to like and share the page, I also want to give special thanks to Bank Soderquist for coming on the show last week. I am so happy that he was able to come and share about the role of Providence Limited in the development of the islands, more specifically Providenciales. If for any reason you did not have the opportunity to watch the Facebook Live on last week, or if you do not have Facebook, or you know someone who doesn't have Facebook and want to share that interview because it was so important, you could also check it out on my YouTube channel, which is Vernica Delancey. And also this broadcast and other broadcasts will also be on the YouTube channel, Vernica Delancey. Again, like, share, follow the page, and tag anyone who you know that will be interested. The other thing I would like to say today is that if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to share those comments or insert those questions in the live feeds, and I'll do my best to answer those questions in reference to the selling process. That's what we want to talk about today. I do not have a guest with me. It will just be me presenting. I will not be sharing my screen, so I will be doing a lot of talking. If for any reason I'm speaking too fast, please type in the comments, slow down, just because I need you to understand the information so that, and be able to process it as well. So today I will be sharing several points about the selling process, okay? So here we go. Like I said, add any questions, comments, and let me know. One of the reasons I wanted to talk about the selling process today is because a while back I spoke about the purchasing process, and therefore I wanted to take some time today and now do the reverse and talk about the selling process. Okay, so one of the things you should know if you are interested in selling property, and of course I would like to say this show in no way is an intention of saying to you, hey, go out there and sell your property. No, but it is a real estate show, and this is a topic that people do need to understand and know about. So if you are interested, this show is for you. One of the things that I like to say to persons, first of all, is about using a real estate agent. I know we spoke about this in the purchasing process, but it also applies to selling your property. You can sell your property without using a real estate agent. So you must know that first and foremost. However, I usually recommend that you do use a real estate agent. Why you should use a real estate agent? There are a number of reasons why. An agent's fiduciary duty is to look out for your best interests. An agent can help you also with the pricing of your property so that it is priced in line with the market. This allows for a quicker sale in most instances. By using an agent, that agent can give you tips about making your home ready for sale. For example, decluttering, manicuring your yard space, etc. They can give you tips about what you should do just to make the property sellable and ready for the market. As an agent, believe it or not, we take on the responsibility for all advertising costs and marketing of your property. This includes, like, if your agent is a member of the Turks and Caicos Real Estate Association, this includes the cost of advertising in the Turks and Caicos Real Estate magazine, as well as having professional photography done for your home or your land, aerial drone photography, photography, I'm biting on my words, chewing on my words, as well as having professional photography done, as well as drone photos done for vacant land. Also, agents can help with site plans or topographical maps, okay? Also, in some countries, the person selling the property is responsible for all of these advertising costs. However, in the Turks and Caicos Islands, the broker or agent actually bear these advertising costs, marketing costs on your behalf. So this saves you as a seller if you give your property to a real estate agent to put on the market. They're going to assume those costs instead of you having to come out of pocket to do so. All right. By using a real estate agent, they have a database that they can direct your property to in order to pique immediate interest and most likely for a quicker sale. That's a database that you may not have, because remember, you're just putting it on the market hoping just to be able to attract persons by just listing. But as real estate agents, they would have a database that they can push your property through to help with a quicker sale. Also, a real estate agent is there to direct you as a seller through the process from start to finish. One of the other important points I always tell people about having a real estate agent to assist in selling your property is that the real estate agent is responsible for showing the property as much as it is needed. While you are at work, your agent can take care of your property, okay? So for example, I had a home that was listed and it was showed by someone who was interested in purchasing it, but we had to show that property for about 5 times before that sale went through. And that was only, one of the showings. So for example, first they had the first viewing, then the purchaser wanted to come in for a second viewing to do some measurements around the home, after which they wanted to have a termite inspection done. So we had to have that showing once again. And after having the termite inspection done, that potential purchaser also wanted to have a structural inspection done. And also one final time before the sale actually closed, that purchaser wanted to go through one more time to verify the inventory list. So I say all of this because you as a seller, if you give your property to an agent to sell, you do not have to take time out of your busy schedule to have all of this done, especially in the case of a home, and even when it comes to having an appraisal done, because of the purchasers receiving bank financing, the house has to be opened up to have an appraisal done. So this is time that you can be focused on your work and you can just leave this up to the agent to have done for you, okay? So just a few more things why it is a good idea if you're selling a property to use a real estate agent other than you yourself. The agent is only paid at the end of the transaction, so there's no upfront cost to you who are selling your property. And guess what? If the property does not sell, who loses? The agent loses, because there's no reason to pay the agent. So I know this is a question a lot of people usually ask, how much is this, what's the cost to list my property? But in reality, you're only paying a commission once there is a successful sale. So it's a risk that the agent is taking to do all of this, to list your property for sale, to show your property countless times to so many people, to help prepare your property, to be responsible for your property, to promote your property through marketing. So it's actually a benefit to you as a seller to have an agent, a professional agent, represent your interests, okay? So, and I would like to say, if you decide to use a real estate agent to list your property for sale, as a seller, please always feel free to make suggestions to that agent as well. feel free to ask them about their marketing strategy for your property, so that you can be comfortable to know what are the steps that real estate agent is going to take to try ensure to maximize the possibility of selling your property. And sometimes as sellers, they sit back and they just leave in the agent hand, but they don't realize, hey, guess what? It's my property. I can also bring an input to the table and tell them exactly what it is that I would like or suggest for them to do as well. Okay, so those are a number of points why it is important, if you are going to list your property for sale, that you should consider using a real estate agent instead of trying to do it on your own. Okay, so another thing that I want to bring to your attention about selling your property are the documents that you would need to list that property for sale. Okay, again, if you are listing with a real estate agent who is a part of TCIA, the processes may be different from someone who is not a part of the Turks and Caicos Real Estate Association. So, and I'm speaking as an agent of the Turks and Caicos Real Estate Association. So these are the documents that you would need. Okay, one of the documents, it includes a multiple listing agreement. This would be provided by your agent, and this agreement is actually to advise on the terms and the conditions of your agreement with them. Okay, you will need a copy of your land register. This actually shows proof of ownership, right? If you do not have a copy, your agent can assist in helping you obtain one. So don't be stressed out about, hey, I don't know where the title to my land is. Guess what? Have that conversation with your real estate agent, and they can assist you in obtaining a copy of your land register. You will also have to fill out a KYC form, which is a Know Your Customer form. This form is proof, has to be submitted, as well as with proof of identification. Okay, usually our identification is a photo ID, and also you will be required to give a utility bill to verify your address. Okay, some companies may require additional information, but most instances, these are the basic components. So you Know Your Customer form is just going to give that agent a little bit of information about you, just to make sure, verify who you are. And this is something that is required by the FSC of the Turks and Caicos Islands, just to make sure that we understand who we are doing business with. Okay, and then there may be additional documents that you may require, but they may not necessarily be mandatory to list the property. But for example, they could be provided at a later date. For example, like an occupancy permit on a home or a survey certificate on a land. Okay, these are required for the sale, but it's not necessarily required to list your property. So let me just go back over there, because sometimes in doing a lot of talking, I just want to keep going back so we can make sure fully understand. So documents you would need if you are interested in listing your property: your multiple listing agreement, so your listing form. You will need a copy of your land register of proof of ownership, and you will have to fill out a KYC form, just so that that agent will be able to identify who you are and verify who you are and your status with the property. Okay, so those are the three forms. Any other additional information, they are not mandatory, but they could be asked for by your agent. All right, just let me know if you have any questions. It's a lot of talking, but you will find that the information is very helpful, very useful, because I have received this question so many times, and I'm just trying to make sure everyone understands it's a very simple process, and your agent will be there to guide you through the process. Okay, so another thing you must know about if you are interested in selling your property: the listing period. If the agent who is representing you is a member of TCIA, just so you know, you can list your property for 6 months to 1 year at a time. Why is this important? Sometimes as a seller, you may just be testing the waters and not be sure about how you want to go about or which agent you want to use, or you may still be in and out whether you really want to sell or not. you have that comfort level where you can decide, hey, I'll do a 6 months period, and then if I'm satisfied, or if I feel more confident as the process goes along, when after 6 months, the listing will have to be renewed, and you can decide to do it for a year. Now, with me, I normally suggest a 1 year period of time. Why? Because a lot of the properties have an average days of 1 year on the market, especially if they are on the outer islands like North Caicos, Grand Turk, where the market is not as vibrant and it's moving a bit slower. So as an agent, you do need a little bit more time to be able to market and get that property out there, to help with the selling process. But you do have a choice to list for 6 months, or you can list for a year. And if you have a property that was already listed for sale, you can decide, once it was listed the first time, the second time, you can decide to do it for 3 months at a time. Yes, we do have persons who decide to list 3 months at a time. And sometimes people, like you say, you may be only selling for a specific reason. And that's why you may not want to commit to a 1 year listing. So you have that option to do so. So just to refresh and to make it, simplify it, your listing period, you can list, if it's your first time listing a property, you can list for 6 months, or you can list for 1 year. And if you had that property listed before, no matter if it's with that agent or another agent, then you can list it for 3 months at a time. Okay? So yeah. The other thing I would like to talk about, if you now reach the step where, okay, what happens now? I'm selling my property and an offer is received on the property. Okay? Here are some of the things you need to know about when an offer is made on property, or what to expect about an offer being made on a property as a seller, someone, So once an offer is made on a property, the agent must submit all offers to you. So every offer that goes and come in on your property, if you have a real estate agent who's representing you, they must submit all offers to you. It doesn't matter if the offer is under your asking price, or if the offer is above your asking price, that real estate agent has to submit all offers to you. That's very important to know, so that you would not miss out on any opportunities, okay? If you already have an offer in play, they can accept it as a backup offer and advise you that I have a backup offer, so you know how to go about deciding on which offer you want to move forward on, okay? Your agent can definitely guide you about the best price to accept in those situations, right? When there's an offer on a property, I just want you to know that you are free to make a counter offer as the person who is selling the property. So if someone makes an offer, if you have a property price at $100,000 and someone makes an offer on your property at $75,000, you as a seller do not have to be afraid to say, I'm not interested in $75,000, but I would like to see if I can get $85,000. So you have the right to make a counter offer on the property. All right. I say that because some persons, when they are selling the property, if they receive an offer that is lower than what they are intending to make, they just say to the person, I'm not interested, right? But sometimes they don't realize that, hey, you may not be interested in that price, but you have the right to make a counter offer, okay? So you can make a counter offer. Another thing about making offers on a property, I like to point out, is that some offers are conditional on financing. So depending on the offer form, whether it's it was submitted on a heads of agreement or a preliminary agreement, it will make a difference. And of course, your agent should be able to explain these different type of offer forms to you, so you would know what you are accepting and why you are accepting that offer on that particular form, In short, if a heads of agreement is presented to you, one of the things you would like to look for on that heads of agreement is your ladder clause, because most heads of agreement gives the owner the right to pull out at any time and also the buyer to pull out at any time. Whereas the preliminary makes it more binding because a reservation deposit is expected to say that money exchanged hand and make it more tightly bind. But definitely, all in all, the contract is the final and the best. When I say contract, I mean the sales and purchase agreement is always the best way to move forward on any offer to make it officially legally binding. Okay. Yeah. So just to reiterate what I said about offers on a property, just so you know, your real estate agent must submit all offers, no matter how high or how low. Your real estate agent can help and guide you with the best price to accept if you are uncertain about what you would like to do. And that advice is usually given based on market value, right? You are free to make a counter offer on all offers as you receive them. And I did mention it earlier, but I would also like to say one of the things when an offer is made on a property, sometimes it is bank financing. You have to be aware that if you receive an offer, make sure that the time specified for that person to receive bank financing is on that offer, just in case, because when they put a clause like that in your offer, you have to take your property off the market to give them the opportunity to get their buying financing. So you have to decide as a seller, how long do you want to take your property off the market while that person works through with bank financing. But of course, that's a conversation you can have with your real estate agent. All right. So the other thing we want to talk about, like I say, it's a lot of talking. There's no visual presentation today. So it's just about listening attentively, getting the information, understanding the information. And of course, if you have any questions about the information, please feel free to do so. All right. Okay, the other thing I would like to talk about when you're selling your property is about the closing process. Please know that one of the questions we are asked a lot of times, you do not have to be on the island to facilitate the closing. So for example, you may live on island and you may have a reason to travel for vacation. You don't have to worry about, hey, I'm going on vacation, I can't close on a transaction. You can speak with your attorney at that time and they can set all the paperwork up in advance depending on what needs to be done. Also, if you are a non-resident residing off island, this document could also be emailed to you and you can courier it back, send it back by a courier, the original signed documents. So you do not have to be on island for the closing. The persons who will be in the closing room will be the attorneys who's going to facilitate the final closing. So don't let that discourage you from accepting an offer because you're thinking, oh, I can't accept this offer now because I'm not going to be on island on a specific time. You do not have to be there for the closing. All those documents can be prepared in advance, or FedEx or DHL or UPS, whichever one you prefer, back to have it completed in a timely manner. All right. About closing as well, it's always recommended that you use an attorney to do the closing. Of course, we had a full show about why you should use a real estate attorney. Okay, and basically in summary, that attorney is there to review all contracts on your behalf and to look out for your best interest. So, and in most instances, the person who's selling the property, their attorney is the one who actually prepares the sales and purchase agreement to present to the buyers. And also their attorney is usually the one who prepares the transfer document for signatures by both parties. So the one who when you're selling a property, your attorney has great responsibility in the closing process and helping you to complete these documents and get this closing done. All right. Closing costs. Closing costs, you should think about your legal fees, of course, your commission to the agent at that time, survey fees, especially in the case, which is a standard requirement. Sometimes a survey certificate may not be required. It all depends, again, on the sales and purchase agreement that you have with the purchaser, okay? Which would have had to be negotiated before the closing date. The purpose of the survey, just as a reminder, is to ensure that there are no encroachments on the property, whether it's a home or land, just to make sure of that, and also just to set out those boundaries so you know exactly what you are purchasing. All right. So, and another closing cost you would want to think about, just in the event that you are purchasing a condo unit, you would want to make sure that all the strata fees of the previous owner are all paid up and that there aren't any fees in arrears, because if it's not paid up, you could be looking at assuming those costs when you purchase the property. All right, so I'll just sum it up. So with the closing process, as a seller, you do not have to be on island to facilitate the closing. It is recommended that you have an attorney to assist you with the closing process, as they will be responsible for drawing up the final sales and purchase agreement, and also getting those transfer documents over to the purchaser's attorney. Okay, your closing costs will be, of course, your legal fees, your commissions, any survey fees that may be associated with the closing. And of course, again, in the case of a condo, ensure that those strata fees are paid up that were in arrears. Okay. The other thing we want to talk about, if you are selling, sometimes persons will ask, hey, I'm interested in listing my property for sale, and should I have a tenant or not have a tenant? Okay, that's up to you. It all depends on the property you are selling. Sometimes, just for example, if you are short-term rental opportunities, agents will work around the rental times when you have bookings to be able to show the property. Sometimes it does cause an inconvenience, but again, we do not want you to lose revenue while trying to sell the property, because you're not sure as to how long the property will be on the market. And this gives you a good balance of getting income while we're trying to sell that property on your behalf. Okay, if you have long-term tenants in place, definitely the agent will give the tenant sufficient notice. Most times it's 24 hours. However, if depending on the tenant, they may be more comfortable with a 48-hour notice, and agents will work around the schedule of the tenants once they are cooperating in order to do so. But one of the things we like to pinpoint as to our sellers is be sure to have a proper lease in place so that the tenant knows what to expect if you decide to sell. Okay, so most times you can use that lease to put in how much notice is required in order to access the home, and also that tenant will be comfortable in knowing that an agent will always be present when that home is being shown, so they can decide if they would like to be there or not, but they know that there is a constant figure of that real estate agent who is going to be there to oversee and protect their property. All right. A lease is also very important in the event that a purchaser requires vacant possession. Then the lease will definitely stipulate how much notice a tenant requires for them to vacate the property. Okay, and that's something that is very important to know. So right up front, anyone making an offer on the property will know definitely, hey, do I need to give this person 30 days or do I need to give this person 60 days in order to find somewhere else to go. One of the very good things, again, about using a real estate agent in this whole process is that that agent helps sometimes help to facilitate and can help in that tenant if we reach to that place where the new owners would like to have vacant possession. Sometimes the agent can help go ahead and help find an alternative accommodation for that existing tenant. So that's a very good reason why it is also good to have a real estate agent on your side when you are selling a property. All right. So again, if you are selling and you have a tenant, be sure to have a proper lease in place so they know, the tenant knows exactly what to expect. And don't be shy about trying to have the tenant vacate the place. You can still have the property sold. And you'll be surprised, some persons who are buying, depending on the type of properties, they actually prefer to have a tenant because then they don't have to go in search of another tenant once the property has been obtained. Definitely, if the person is buying for their personal use and for their family home, they would want vacant possession. But in most cases, especially of recent, where persons are buying for investment purposes, rental opportunities, they are pleased to continue with the existing tenants in the property. All right. Yeah. One of the other things I would like to say also is that if you are selling a condo unit, or if you are condo unit or any rental properties, right now rental property is the hot thing. However, for any reason now you have to sell and you have a rental property, one of the things I always tell my sellers is very important to have is your rental statements. Why? Because potential buyers, one of the things they often ask about is definitely, hey, can I see the rental history? Because remember, they're buying this property as an investment, and they also want to be able to know what type of revenue they can receive and what do they have to put into the building or into the property to be able to achieve their investment goal. So if you are selling a property, especially condos, because we have a very vibrant market for condos in the Turks and Caicos, please, if you are with a rental company, try to obtain at least 2 years of rental statements so that the potential purchaser can have a steady slate of income to see how the property is performing over this period of time. Okay, again, if you do not have it on hand, it's not a deal breaker. It doesn't mean you cannot list your property for sale, but this is just something that's very important to know. And also with long-term rentals, that's why also it is very important to have your lease agreement in place again, as proof of what type of rental income you are receiving from that rental property. Okay, let me know again any questions that you may have, any comments you may have. These are the things I think is very important for you to know of when you are thinking about listing your property. I'm just going to reiterate from the top to the bottom. This is an opportunity. If you have any questions, I have 1 or 2 more things to say, but we're getting ready to close down this live Facebook because there's only so much things you can tell unless you have a question. So I just want to start from the top again. Selling real estate, you do not need to have a real estate agent on your side. You can sell your home by yourself. However, I recommend you use real estate agents because there are so many more benefits of using an agent versus not using an agent, which I have listed before. And the most important thing is that real estate agent duty, fiduciary duty, is to look out for your best interest from start to finish of the transaction. So think about using a real estate agent. Again, also Your documents you're going to need your listing agreement. Just to be clear as to what agreement you have with that agent, you need a copy of your land register to be able to prove your ownership. And also you need to follow the KYC form just to have for that agent to be able to identify what you and say, this is who I am. And because it is a requirement with the FSC in the Turks and Caicos Islands. Your listing period, you can decide to list for 6 months or 1 year at a time. It all depends on what you want to do. If there's an offer that comes in on the property, then your agent must submit all offers. They will guide you through the process of accepting it. They will tell you exactly what you need to do. And basically, you can counter offer if you so desire. Closing, you do not have to be on island to facilitate the closing, right? It's recommended that you have an attorney. Your attorney as a seller is actually going to be there to draft that purchase and sales agreement, also to deal with the transfer, to draft the transfer document that's going to be forwarded to the purchaser's attorney for them to make sure do that. And they are also going to deal with all the closing funds on your behalf. Your closing costs include your legal fees, your agent's commission, your survey fees, and any outstanding fees that you may have, like I mentioned with the strata, making sure that it's up to date. Those are your closing fees. And obviously, if you have a tenant, don't be dismayed about it. Yes, you can still sell the property with a tenant in your home or your unit. Sometimes I just want to pause a minute to say that we all know, I think in most instances, if you just have a single home or and it's a long-term tenant, we all know what type of tenant we are dealing with. So even that will help you to make a wise choice as to if it is appropriate to allow the tenant to remain or not. If your tenant is sweet, kind, caring, and accommodating, then why force the tenant to move? Because like I say, depending on your property, if your property doesn't sell right away, it gives that tenant enough time to find a place, as well as it provides enough time for you as the seller to continue to receive income into your property until it is sold. So it's a win-win situation. And last but by no means least, like I've said before, if you are listing your property for sale, especially in the case of a rental property, be sure to have your rental statements handy for potential buyers, because this goes a long way in helping the sale process. Whenever someone inquires about the property, you would have it handy and be able to present it to them right away without any delay, because this is it's an important factor. One of the things I will say, because we're talking about rental statements, sometimes persons are a bit hesitant about it because they don't want people to, know all of the information up front. Just in the case you say, hey, well, you could always decide the agent can remove all of your information in terms of who's selling, etc. So they will just receive a shell with just the basic information and no personal information. So it's not like we're going to say, hey, John Brown is making $10,000 or not making anything at all. So that all that information can be adjusted to protect you as a seller before it is given out to just any purchaser. All right. So that's very important to know, right? So we are actually, believe it or not, we are at the mark of 45 minutes. It went so quick, but I give you one last opportunity. If there's anything you would like to ask about the selling process, it's quite simple. Contact your agent. They provide you with those forms. It's only like one form. I mean, your multiple listing, your information, which is your KYC. Some companies do have a disclosure form, and those agents can help you and assist you in filling those forms out. Once you're done, you leave it up to the real estate agent and get your property sold. All right. So if If you have any questions after today, please feel free to send me an email, v.delancey@kw.tc. I'm always an email away. Send me a message in the inbox, and I'm more than willing to help you with the process. All right. So thank you once again for all of you who have joined me, those who have listened in. I hope I didn't speak too fast, but always you can come back. One thing I do like about the live, when we're done, it's here sitting on my page. You can take your time and go through the information, and just in case you have missed anything out. The purpose of this show is to educate you. It's not to say, hey, call Veronique Delancey. It's to educate you to make an informed decision about the real estate process, so you know exactly what to do. All right. So don't feel obligated. Just know, get the information, and make sure you use it to your advantage. Okay. I want to say thank you again for joining me. Next week, we will have a guest. I intentionally didn't have a guest this week because I felt the need to talk about, selling your property and the process of selling your property. But next week we will have a guest, and it will be an attorney who is going to be speaking on real estate issues again, and how real estate will affect you, and a lot of things about real estate, right? How you should, someone who's purchasing, and one of the main things is how you should obtain, and whose name should you obtain a property in, and why. That's one of our main conversations for next week. There are a lot of things we will be talking about, but that's very important to know. You want to buy, but you want to make sure when you're purchasing that you're purchasing in the right person's name and you're purchasing the right way, so that it doesn't come back correctly the first time. All right. So thank you for joining me. Please share this page with someone else. See you next week. So until next week, stay safe and remain blessed. Thank you for joining me. Have a great afternoon.